right now. School leaders in Richmond County just starting a meeting talking about another possible round of rezoning for the district.
So the plan includes 5 different Richmond County schools, and parents, we know you are all ears about this. Here they are on your screen. You can see Diamond Lakes and Murphy Middle. Those would lose students. Willis Foreman of Richmond Hill would get those students. Meanwhile, C.T. Walker would be changed from a K-8 school to a K-5 school.
Cindy Heiberger live for us outside the district office downtown, where the school board just started their meeting in the last few minutes. So, Cindy, it seems like we've seen them shuffle the deck every few years.
Richard, that's right. This right-sizing strategy has been going on since 2008. We've seen schools close down, new schools spring up, even some rezoning shifts there you mentioned. But today the board is talking about phase 6 of this project, and it contains 3 key areas. It's a game of moving pieces to even out school populations.
I can certainly see that if you had an overcrowded school, you would want to shift some of those numbers.
It's why the district is proposing moving some students from Murphy Middle School to Richmond Hill K-8. Under the new plan, all students from Haynes Elementary and those from Wheeless Road who would normally go to Murphy, then Butler, will now go to Richmond Hill instead. A decision that will reduce capacity at Murphy from 129% to 101%.
They can focus more on the students when they have a better number.
They also plan to move 2 neighborhood units from Diamond Lakes Elementary to Willis Foreman, reducing capacity at Diamond Lakes to 68%. The district says that will help ease the burden when new developments pop up in the Diamond Lakes area. But it's the third proposal that has Kelly Baldwin the most concerned, changing C.T. Walker Magnet School from K-8 to K-5.
He did want to go all the way through. Obviously, he doesn't want to leave his friends.
A product of growth in the district, leaving families like Kelly's with some tough choices. Now today the board is just voting on hearing public opinions on this next phase. They're going to do the actual deciding vote next month in April. Guys?
Cindy, thanks very much for the live update from downtown. Aiken County Schools just starting a town hall meeting of their own. This is going on at the North Augusta High School cafeteria. Those leaders are giving an update on North Augusta construction projects, and they've seen a lot of building. After that, the floor will open up for questions. You can watch that meeting on the homepage of the school district's website.
New details tonight in the murder of a married couple, one found in Aiken County, the other up in Columbia. According to new documents in this case, investigators say Ashley Hagler was actually driving around in Columbia looking for her husband that night.
But at some point, she was murdered while her 5-year-old son was right there in the backseat of the car. Now the brother of the husband is behind bars. Investigators say Charles Carmichael connected to both deaths. Will Rio has new details from deputies in Aiken County and Columbia.
Both the Richland and the Aiken County Sheriff's offices are working closely to put the pieces together after a connection was made between a Columbia murder and a Batesburg death, one that happened right here on the 100 block of Holder Road in Batesburg.
We don't have a motive at this point. We're working on that. This is a very active investigation, so we got a lot of questions to get answered, and they will be answered.
On Saturday, Ashley Hagler was found shot to death in her car in Columbia. Her 5-year-old was in the back seat, screaming for help for his mother. Her husband, Rufus Carmichael, was also found dead in Batesburg later that same morning. Incident reports tell us more about what happened leading up to these deaths. Earlier that night, there was an altercation at Hagler's house. She and her husband, Rufus, woke up to someone banging on their door. He went outside, then Ashley heard a loud bang and saw a car speeding off, but Rufus did not come back inside. So she went looking for him. She filed a missing persons report at 3 a.m. that night for Rufus. According to the report, Ashley's son said she was following Rufus's brother Charles to try and find him.
Shortly after that, we got notified by Aiken County Sheriff's Department that Rufus's body was found.
Only 58 minutes later, the Aiken County Sheriff's Office found Rufus's body just a few feet off Holder Road. The report says he had something coming out of his chest with small bricks on him and blood. His brother, Charles Carmichael, is charged with Ashley's murder. Deputies went to his home and arrested him after he tried to escape. While they were there, they found his car covered in blood and a gun.
2 more people that are dead. Kind of shake your head and go, why? And hope you find an answer, but there's just no answer that's going to justify people losing their life.
In Batesburg, Will Rio, on your side.
Now, we have reached out to the coroner to see if there's any link between Rufus Carmichael's death and his brother.
We're following another tragic domestic murder here at home. A husband accused of killing his wife and his stepdaughter before turning the gun on himself hours later. Sadly, like the case in Columbia, we're learning the suspect's own child, just 4 years old, was in the home on Cops Drive where the mom and daughter were killed as well. Less than 12 hours later, the husband, James Briggs, was found just 3 miles away, dead by suicide. Kennedy Harris tells us this case follows a disturbing trend of growing domestic violence cases during the pandemic.
Violence among couples makes up 15% of all violent crime, and experts told me often there are no visible signs of abuse leading up to domestic murders.
They look like the normal family, and, that just goes to show that you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
This week, a double murder-suicide, a mother and daughter killed, and a husband also dead, leaving their friends, family, and community speechless.
In all cases of domestic violence, there's not a lot of times that you recognize an abuser. You act one way out in public, but what goes on again behind closed doors could be totally different.
Amy Hall is the executive director of Safe Homes Domestic Violence Center in Augusta. Their crisis hotline saw a wave of new trends during the early pandemic. Their calls dropped significantly while in lockdown, and once restrictions lifted, they saw a 60% increase in calls.
Right now, we're probably on average about how many calls we normally receive.
According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 72% of all murder-suicide cases involve an intimate partner, and a history of crime by the offender is common, but in many cases, what goes on behind closed doors is often unseen. Hall says the hardest abuse to spot is emotional abuse.
You don't always see those marks because those are internal, where the physical abuse, is on the outside.
But there are some signs we can look out for, like isolation from family or friends, controlling behavior, name-calling, or gaslighting.
Whether we're in a pandemic or whether we're not, domestic violence is still very prevalent in our community.
And in this case, Briggs' ex-wife says that he was never violent towards her. And in 2020, Safe Homes received over 700 crisis calls on their hotline. Hall says that's still the yearly average of most calls, and even though the calls aren't as high as earlier in the pandemic, there's still a great need in our community.
Kennedy, thanks very much. Governor Kemp spreading some good news this afternoon. He and his team say Georgia's COVID positivity rate is now down to 5%. At one point, it was higher than 20%. Dr. Kathleen Toomey says the benefit of the vaccine can be seen in nursing homes as well, and she sees it as what the state as a whole will look like.
If you remember, every press conference we had, I talked about outbreaks, and the leading site for outbreaks in the state had been previously in long-term care facilities. And this week, when I checked, there weren't any outbreaks in long-term care facilities.
Governor Kemp will be in Augusta tomorrow to talk about the vaccine with experts at Augusta University.
More teachers getting vaccinated today in South Carolina. This clinic was at Silver Bluff High School specifically for Aiken County educators. Teachers and school staff are getting the Moderna vaccine there. And this was the second clinic the Aiken County School Districts hosted at one of their schools. They're also planning to have 4 more at the schools listed on your screen. The next one is this Friday. It's at Aiken High School from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And tomorrow, the mass vaccination site in Washington County opens. That's at the Word of Life Church in Sandersville. That will be a drive-through clinic, allowing them to hopefully vaccinate way more people. You can register for the clinic at myvaccinegeorgia.com. Now, it is a little bit of a drive for a lot of us, but it really could be worth it since they have so many slots available. But Governor Kemp says, even so, please make an appointment for this.
I'm here in the Harrisburg neighborhood, one of the areas that the United Way often serves. And when they announced their rental assistance program, hundreds of applications flooded in overnight.
And the end of March is coming very soon.
But now families in Richmond County are facing the realities.
And what we're finding is that some families need 1 month of assistance and others need 9 months worth of assistance.
Brittany Burnett, the CEO of United Way of the CSRA, says 1,800 families have asked for help in just 2 weeks since the program started.
A lot of these families have either been furloughed, been laid off. Maybe there's a parent that needs to stay home with kids who are in an alternative learning environment.
Our local United Way has $6 million to work with from the federal government for any renter in Richmond County who makes less than 80% average area income. For example, a family of 4 making less than $52 grand each year.
Being evicted from their homes in the middle of the worst public health crisis in the history of this nation. I mean, how wrong is that?
Jordan Johnson is the chair of Richmond County's new homeless task force.
This pandemic has shown us what poverty looks like in the 21st century.
Working with organizations like the United Way to meet this need after a homeless man in Augusta died of hypothermia.
To figure out if we need a one-stop shop, if we need tiny home villages.
For now, the United Way is for giving rent and giving hope.
The whole goal is to give them a brand new, fresh start.
The United Way is trying to make this process as easy as possible. If you don't have internet or a phone, you can come here to the United Way offices and put the information that they need in their drop box. And we'll have more information on how you can get help on our website. Reporting in Augusta, Brady Troutnell on your side.
And if you live in Richmond County and need help, you can call the United Way or text the word RENT to 50503. If you live outside the county, go to georgiarentalassistance.georgia.gov.
The biggest ambulance contractor in Augusta is one step closer to getting a new deal with the city. The Augusta Commission approved a committee to work with Gold Cross to make sure there is full coverage for all of Augusta. Now, this comes after Gold Cross used to split emergency calls with the Augusta Fire Department, but in October, the city suspended ambulance services after months and months of complaints and concerns that they looked into.
Well, this is election day for the
Weekends 24/7.
Tonight, the I-Team is digging into a new study at Augusta University. Researchers there are reporting a promising link they found between CBD and Alzheimer's treatment. In really simple terms, boiling this down for you, in an experiment with mice, they found 2 weeks worth of high doses of CBD oil helped improve brain cognition for certain types of Alzheimer's disease. Our I-Team found this type of research is more important now than ever. With baby boomers starting to age, by 2025, the Alzheimer's Association estimates we will have 190,000 people living with Alzheimer's disease in Georgia. In South Carolina, 120,000 people. So when you consider that's more than a 26% increase in each state from last year alone, that's a pretty significant jump we're talking about. So now researchers at AU will study the ideal amount of CBD oil for different phases of the disease, how early in the disease they may be able to improve brain function, and the best way to get the CBD oil, like maybe an inhaler. Pretty exciting when you think all of this research is happening right here in our backyard.
Really interesting research there. New art in downtown Augusta, honoring an Augusta legend. A local artist putting together this portrait as part of the Jesse Norman School of the Arts. They have a window project there. This is at the school's 8th Street entrance. The portrait of Jesse Norman, the late Jesse Norman, using fabrics from local shops, secondhand sheet music, and really to a great effect. The artist says her work symbolizes Norman's rise to notoriety and the obstacles she faced along the way. Let's have a look outside now. The Calhoun Express at those highs in the low 60s.
All right, thanks, Mikkel. South Carolina DHEC says more than 12% of South Carolinians are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 now. But they say don't think that is a blank check to get back to normal. They want you to think twice before having a big gathering, especially with Easter and spring break coming up.
We've seen a surge in Europe. Part of that is related to new variants circulating. The new variants are risky because they are more contagious. They spread more easily.
Overall, vaccine hesitancy is going down. Dr. Kelly did say one group that is more vaccine hesitant is young adults. She says that's because they don't think they need the shot, because they're at less of a risk. Kelly says even asymptomatic people, though, can have long-lasting symptoms of the virus like fatigue or brain fog.
Well, the NCAA tournament is about to kick off. A special time for coaches and players alike as we hear from Clemson. Coming up next in sports.
Every year, heavy on your sideline. Sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
Now that we're on the dawn of March Madness, we've started our office bracket challenge, and as fun as it is just filling out a bracket for us fans and even for non-fans, it's even more exciting for the players and teams in the tournament. It's not Clemson's first run to the Big Dance, though their last appearance was back in 2018. Amir Sims and Clyde Trapp are the only two players with tournament experience on the Tigers roster. Head coach Brad Brownell says this is a lifetime experience for his players, and while the team was down after their early exit from the ACC tournament, this team has some new juice.
Being able to know that you were in the NCAA tournament and to come back and have a couple days of practice and just kind of lick your wounds and kind of recharge and talk about, hey guys, we're going to get another opportunity. That was great. And I do sense a lot of enthusiasm and excitement.
Clemson takes on Rutgers in the first round. Georgia Tech is also in following their ACC championship victory. We'll hear from them later this week. Last week we saw a number of teams, including this is really bad here though, folks. Kyle Kuzma with the absolute air ball on a technical free throw. You did something that bad, everyone, teammates, opponents, it doesn't matter. You're going to get it known. Yikes, Mikkel.
Man, that was a big miss right there. Weather headlines, we'll see rainfall continuing to move in this evening. The chance for some showers and storms later on in your St. Patrick's Day and that weather alert day coming in Thursday. We'll talk more about that after the break.
It's hot right